Today you're going to hear from Omar, who's one of my students and also started off as my editor. And he implemented the A-list model and applied it to himself and used it to get onto film sets. So I think it's very useful for you to see somebody that used these methods and is now a paid professional working for Netflix, working for MTV, and all the big stuff in Los Angeles. You can do these methods anywhere in the world, and you can do this starting from absolute scratch, knowing nothing. Enjoy.
Today, I'm going to talk mostly to people that are unfamiliar with how the film industry really is. And maybe you are working 9 to 5. Maybe you've never even worked on a film set. So I'm going to be talking to you today. I just finished a really busy month. I worked on a commercial for a really big soda company. I was production assistant, which is the somebody's on set. Somebody come sweep up this glitter. Somebody grab the director a coffee. Somebody take the breakfast orders. That was me. That was my job. I was the somebody. And it was great. It was cool. 3 days. I made $300 for 12 hours each day. The first day, I think we worked 15 hours. So I made overtime on that. And 12-hour days, 10-hour days is pretty average. That's typical. That's the way we get paid in the film industry, is per 10 or per 12 hours. And then we make overtime after that. That's like the professional level. On the lower budget stuff that you see, maybe you'll see on Facebook or Staff Me Up, it could vary. Maybe it'll be like $100 a day or something like that, or maybe freebies, maybe encountering a lot of freebies. But that's what I made doing production assistant work on a professional commercial. I also just wrapped assistant art directing a commercial for a boot brand. And that was really incredible too. I made $600 for 12 on one day, but I only worked 7 hours. And then I made $400 for 12 on a prep day, and I only worked 4 hours. So that was incredible. I made $1,000 working half days, basically. Yeah, that was really cool. Assistant art directing. So I was helping bring the vision, bring the visuals to life. We filmed at a ranch, and it was an outdoor scenes, a lot of horses. We built a corral. Really, like, I just supervised the corral. And we made a little bathroom scene. We rigged some breakable glass. So the actor like punched the glass and broke. It was cool. It was pretty epic, very dramatic. And yeah, I can't believe that. That's how much I made. Well, I mean, I can believe it. Like, I made it a goal, so I do believe it. But still, it's important to hold on to this gratitude as you enter the world of film and you level up in life. Just remain grateful and remember where you came from. Like, I remember when I was working 9 to 5. I worked 9 to 5 at an IT company. I made probably like 15 an hour. At that point in my life, I was college age. I was probably like 21, 22, 23, working 9 to 5. And it was like that feeling of my creativity is not being fully expressed. And I'm sure maybe you feel the same way too. Like, you have all this creativity inside of you that you know is important, you know it's valuable, but you don't know exactly what to do with it. You don't have a goal. You don't have the direction. You don't know how to get paid for doing something you love. You don't know how to get paid for doing something creative. And you're kind of stuck exchanging time for money in a cubicle setting. And yeah, that's how I felt. I was there. I used to be there. I also used to work retail. I would work at, like, I was just folding clothes all day. Folding clothes and getting lost in my thoughts. And it was important for that chapter of my life, but it really taught me what I didn't want to do. And maybe that's how you feel too. You're kind of stuck in a situation where you don't want to do this. You want to go make movies for a living. You want to make commercials for a living, music videos, work on TV, work on documentaries, nature documentaries, get paid to travel. So that's another thing I did last month. I worked on a travel nature documentary, a spiritual documentary about a Native American vision quest. And I made so much money. It was incredible. I was sound mixing that one. which means I was in charge of recording dialogue and recording the sounds that the camera would be picking up, creating the sonic elements to the visual story. And I made $5,100 total for 6 days, which is incredible. Like, that's a lot of money. I'm getting closer to my goal. The goal is to make $10,000 a month. And last month I was shy of that goal. So it's pretty close. I'm almost there. I'm so close. And this could be your life too. Janet, who is the founder of Friends in Film, my mentor, I'm here at her house right now. Janet worked in travel jobs first. She traveled the world. She left a 9-to-5. She cashed in her retirement when she was 25 years old and traveled the world for a couple of years just for life experience, because she needed excitement in her life. She was tired of working 9-to-5, like doing this job that really had no significance. And then she was like, I gotta go see the world. I gotta travel. She was in South Africa after a couple of years traveling, and she saw a film crew. And she was like, oh, like that's what I can do. I can be a wildlife filmmaker and work for National Geographics. And she made that her goal. And she actually accomplished that goal. She's won an Emmy for a National Geographic's job. I forgot what it was called. Something of the killer whale. Let me go get it. Let me get it real quick. This thing. News and Documentary Emmy Award. Outstanding Individual Achievements in a Craft Sound, National Geographic Special. Sea Monsters, Search for the Giant Squid. Janet Urban, sound recordist. So, full circle moment. I get hired for this nature documentary last month. And I find out the DP, for those of you that don't know, the director of photography, the one in charge of the camera, the one in charge of the picture, he has won 3 Emmys. He works regularly for National Geographic, and he also films commercials. His life is travel documentaries and commercials. This dream life that maybe you only fantasize about and maybe you've only seen on documentaries. This is our lives. And I'm telling this to impress upon you. I'm not trying to like brag or anything like that. I'm trying to show you that, hey, this dream, this alternative reality is very possible. People actually live this way. People actually get paid a lot of money to make these movies, to make these documentaries. And it could be your life too. Our program teaches you how to make it happen. So now I'm friends with this 3-time Emmy Award winning DP. And it was cool. It was like amazing. We're chilling out in the desert, and he has this his van all decked out. And I remember one morning I was making my breakfast. I was warming up water to make some instant coffee. And he sees me. He's like, "Hey Omar, you want a real cup of coffee?" And I'm like, heck yeah, dude. So he pulls out this hand grinder and an AeroPress and like these high quality coffee beans, Holy Rollers. And he made his own almond milk, and he just made me this most incredible cup of coffee that I've ever had, like in my life, let alone out in the desert working on a movie. It was cool, it's a cherished memory. And it's just cool. The people that you encounter working in this industry is just so amazing. And yeah, so how did I get that job? How do we get these jobs? How do we make it possible? How do you actually get hired? Do you have to like send in a resume to get hired to work in film? No. That's not the way it works. I'm sure you've heard this before. It's all connections. And this is something that film school doesn't teach you. Something that everybody outside of the industry kind of has heard. It's all connections, but nobody knows what that really means. Nobody knows how to make connections. It kind of feels like you're outside and you have to get lucky to get into this like secret society of filmmaking. And we have a strategy all laid out to make it happen. It's a 10-month program within Friends in Film. So that's how I learned Janet did it 25 years ago. Like, she made the mistakes, she made the right actions and wrong actions, and she put it all together in a concise program that you can pay for. And at the end of 10 months, you will have the foundation to be working full-time in film. A lot of our people end up working full-time in film within 5 months. It depends. But just letting you know that it's possible, and we have a strategy to make it happen. And so specifically how I got this nature documentary job, it happened by doing the Friends in Film methods. I was doing, it's called surfing for postings and get on shoots. 2 years ago, I found a job posting to work a low budget documentary job. So I work on this documentary job. And while I'm working this job, I'm implementing the Friends in Film methods, knowing how to be one of the good ones, knowing how to anticipate needs, knowing how to be likable on set. If you're working 12 hours a day, you have to be likable and cool to get hired again, because people want to hire people that are cool to work with. You know, imagine if you are stuck in a car for 12 hours with somebody, you would want that person to be pleasant to hang out with. And, you know, that's one of the, like, making film, something that school, that film school won't teach you is that this career in film is like 80% social skills. You have to have social skills to get hired again. And these are things you can learn. These are things you can practice, and that we show you how to get better at if, you know, you're not a particularly social person. And you don't have to be like extroverted or whatever to make it happen. I'm kind of like, I'm a really quiet extrovert. I'm really like silent and to myself most of the time. But still, people want to hire me. I know why. It's because I know how to do a good job. And I know I'm just doing everything Janet told me to do, and I'm getting hired again. There are different types of jobs and shoots for different personalities and different interests. And we recommend at the start of your career to cast your net broadly. Basically, get on as many film sets as possible and make as many friends as possible. This is the connections part. You never know where your next job is going to come from. And this is something different that's like different than 9 to 5. It will happen if you decide to make a career in film and you do it the right way. You're just going to get texts like, hey, you available? So-and-so referred me. They said you're really good and I want to bring you on to my project. And this is how we have a career in film. And, you know, this may be like kind of scary or counterintuitive because we're so used to having a set schedule of 9 to 5. But the thing to remember is set schedules are boring. That's probably why you kind of feel like you're stuck in a soul-sucking position where you're kind of bored with life. Imagine like you wake up and one day you're going to go work with a bunch of jugglers and professional mimes, and you're there making a movie with them. And then the next day you're working on this soda commercial with these exotic cars doing burnouts in the street. And then the next day you're out on a ranch with a bunch of horses making another commercial. You know, that was my life the past couple of weeks. And that's one of the reasons why we love working in the film industry, is because we get paid lots of money to enter different universes. We don't have to go to the same office every day. I've been there. I know it sucks. And I just want to let you know that it's possible to go experience life and get paid to do these incredible things. It's about being a freelancer. It's about being entrepreneurial, about handling your own schedule. It's going to be difficult. It may be difficult. It will be uncomfortable because it's so different than working a 9 to 5. But that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes life worth living. So you have to know how to leverage your connections. You have to know how to generate your own work. And this is what we go over in the program. So to give you an example, I have a list of contacts of everybody that I worked with. We in Friends in Film, we call it the magic list, my magic list. So after a month, I'll go down my month of what I worked on. I worked on a nature documentary for 6 days. I worked on a soda commercial for 3 days. I worked on a pickup day for a mockumentary feature. So pickup means that the majority of the film has already been recorded. It's already saved in the can. And they needed a couple of days of additional shooting to finish the story. So I was hired to do those pickup days. And then I worked art directing another commercial. And then before that, I did a proof of concept. And that is basically a short version of a feature or a TV series that the the director and his team are going to use to pitch to people for funding so they can get the big feature made. So I was hired to work on this proof of concept. The writer and director, he is a celebrity. He's a TV star. And we met many years ago when he was starting his career. And that's the other thing too. You never know who you're going to meet and where you're all going to end up. So it's important to be cool with everybody. It's important to, make friends and just be a pleasure to be around. You don't want to burn any bridges. And I would say there's these horror stories of like, oh, like everybody in the film industry stuck up. Everybody in film, like they're just scary or they're mean or whatever. Probably like 98% of people are super cool. That's how you get hired back. So, just if you have that thought, just erase that negative thought and understand that most people in film are actually really cool. So I worked on that proof of concept on however many number of shoots I just mentioned. I think it's 5 or 6. I made a total of about 50 connections. Okay, I made 50 connections in a month working on these professional jobs. So I put those 50 connections on my magic list. And now I have their contact info, how we met, some little tidbit of what we chatted about. Like, oh yeah, Matt, he's in a band. He makes this kind of music. And, George, like he just got back from London and he was visiting his family in London for the summer. Things like this. I'll put little interesting things like, Andy, he just had a baby, like, and he has a 2-year-old daughter, and they're excited about, figuring out their dynamic as a family. Him and his wife, they're excited, new parents. Things like this. Interesting things about your friends' lives, because you're gonna meet a lot of people, and you want to remember important details about their life, so that when you reconnect, you have this document to reference and jog your memory of like, oh yeah, this we talked about this thing, and then all this. And so this is what sets us apart. This is what brings you higher. Not only are you making connections, but you're at the top, the cream of the crop, because you actually care about people's lives. Can you see how you would want to hire somebody like this that remembers important details about your life, important details about conversations you had? Little the fun back and forth inside jokes. This is important. This is the networking skills, the social skills that will get you hired back and will make you in demand. It's what made me in demand, what made Janet in demand, and so many other people in our program in demand and working in film. Right now we're in the middle of 2025 I'm in Los Angeles. And people are saying like, oh, there's not enough work happening. And it's true, like a lot of work has gone to other states, which is good for you if you're in if you're in another city. The thing is, if you are the best and you're in a lot of people's phones and in a lot of people's minds, then you're going to be one of the few that are working. And I'm one of the few that is working. And, that can be you too. When there's a dry period, when there's like a recession or a contraction of this industry, we are set up so that we will be the ones working. The problem that people encounter is that they rely too much on one person or two people for work. They get comfortable because, so-and-so hires them on the job, and then they have like 3 jobs this month and then 2 jobs the next month. And then they just have that consistent work with one person. But then when that one person, when their work stops, then your work stops. That's not good. You need to have 150 people like that. You need to have 150 connections like that. And it's very possible. I just told you I made like 40 or 50 connections last month. And I've been doing this for nearly 5 years now. So this is an important goal. Making connections, 50 people that hire you, 50 people that refer you, and 20 mentors that you can seek advice from and seek guidance from. And that's a very doable goal. You can accomplish that within your first 10 months, and we show you how to make it happen. And, film schools aren't going to teach you this. You can't really learn this on YouTube. It's just a clear, concise number that you can hit. It's important to have these tools and strategies in place so that you can have a successful career in film. Because like I said, it's different than working a 9 to 5. It's different than clocking in and clocking out. There's this aspect of the film industry, of filmmaking, where you have to reach out and stay on top of people's minds that you don't necessarily get paid for directly. It's not this exchange of time, like labor for money. It's this other thing that they don't teach in school, that we never learn this in public school or high school. You reach out to people, reach out to your friends, and then your friends remember you and want to hire you on stuff. They remember how good of a time you guys had, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm filming this movie next month. You should come on it. It'll be cool." It doesn't matter what department you work in either. If you're interested in camera, sound, directing, lighting, art, acting, it doesn't matter. The strategies, the social aspect of it is all the same. People hire people that have a good reputation. And that reputation is like, "Oh yeah, Omar, he's really cool. Oh yeah, Janet, she's really cool. I love having her on set." So a question to ask yourself is, what kind of life do you want to be living? Do you want to be stuck in a 9 to 5? Or do you want to at least make a solid attempt of working in film? Or even, and on top of that, do you want to work in the film industry? If that answer is a yes, then you're going to make it happen. Actually be true to yourself and start working towards your goals instead of hoping it'll happen or believing that it's impossible. It's very possible. I've done it. A lot of people have done it. And you can too. You can make it happen. You can do it. Let me give you an example of this social aspect of the film industry. So I work in art department. That's one of my specialties. And I get hired by this production company that I hadn't worked for in maybe like 2 or 3 years. I'm on this job, and one of my friends, he started out around the same time as me, he's on this job too. I'm hired as a PA, and he's hired as a set dresser, or he was a prop master. He was hired as a prop master, which is art department. When he's in charge of the props, the things that the actors are going to be handling on set. And I had some envy. I had some jealousy. I'm like, oh dang, like Steven got hired as prop master. He's not even like, he's an actor. Like he's not even as passionate about art and props as I am. And there's envy. Like I wanted what he had. But I saw why he was hired as prop master, why he was in a higher position than me. Like I was chilling on a chair eating breakfast, and then he walks in the room and we say hi and stuff. And every single person that walks in the room, he remembered their name. He's like, "Oh, hey Cody, how's it going? Like, how was that thing you worked on?" And then they had their little back and forth, and then that person leaves, and then he's like, "Oh, Zach, like, how's it going, dude? Like, hey, I saw that thing you worked on. It wasn't great." So he actually made a strong effort to remember people's names, to remember, what their last conversations were, the things they worked on. He was genuinely interested in his friends' lives. Whereas me, I've worked with those particular people before, but I didn't do as good of a job of remembering people's names. I at that time, I guess like in that moment, I didn't really care. I was kind of just stuck in my envy. But he, of course, he got hired in a bigger position, and because he was at the top of those people's minds. The producer's like, "Oh yeah, Steven, he's great. Like, he's one of my right-hand people. I want to bring him on all my stuff. Oh, like there's an opportunity for props. Like, come on, dude, let's get you paid." So that's the social aspect that I'm talking about. And, I was in a position where I had enough awareness to be like, "Oh, I'm envious." But I see why. I see why he's successful. It's because he's doing this thing. He's doing this thing that I know how to do, but I chose not to do. And he's really embodied it. So I hope you have a takeaway from that. in seeing how important it is to make connections and what that really means. It's all connections. What does that mean? It's all connections. It's making friends, being cool to work with, remembering people's names and what they do. When you go on a film set and you do a good job and you make an effort to remember people's names, write them down in your little notebook or highlight them on the call sheet. Every job you work, a professional job, you get a call sheet of people's names and numbers. And so when you have an interaction with somebody, you can highlight their name and then write a little note to yourself and then put that on your magic list. So that way, years down the line, when you have lost the call sheet, you'll still have their contact info and you'll still remember that little thing you guys talked about. And that goes a long way. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember you. Like, we worked on that bank commercial and we talked about purple mohawks. We both had purple mohawks when we were kids. And this is the thing you have to realize about working as a production assistant, working as a PA, is this is how you make professional connections. See, if you want to work in film, it's very unlikely that you're going to get hired to direct a big budget feature or a big budget commercial. But it's very possible for you to PA, for you to work as a production assistant, to get hired as a professional production assistant on these big budget stuff. Then you can meet the professional director. You can meet the professional production designer. You can meet the professional DPs. You can become friends with them and you can join their teams. This is the key. This is what we teach at Friends on Film, and this is how I've been able to move up so fast. It's important. Like the way I've structured my month, like the types of jobs I chose, it's very intentional. I'm working in my craft on these professional jobs, but I'm still willing to work as a PA. I'm willing to work as a PA because I know it will lead to more jobs in my craft. Okay, this is kind of an advanced thing for you that are unfamiliar with working in film. You don't just apply to work as a set dresser. You don't just apply to work as a sound mixer. You have to know somebody. And the way to know the professional people, the way to move up into the bigger budget stuff, so you're not stuck at like the Facebook group level stuff, is to PA on big budget things. So when I PA'd on this soda commercial, I'm making friends with the sound mixer. I'm making friends with the boom operator. So when in the future, when they have an opportunity for me, who's a few years behind them, they will send it to me because they know me, they trust me, they see I've made it past the filter. I have the proper connections to get on set, and I'm a good worker at what I do as a PA, and I have the very the intentional conversations about working as a sound mixer in my craft with these individuals. And I'm also making friends with the art department people, and they can tell by the way I work that I know my way around art department. I'm carrying the right things that somebody in art department would. I have a piece of butyl on me, which is, a little sticky stuff to mount the props or the interesting set dressing on the set. I'm prepared, and it actually came in handy. I was working second unit on the soda commercial, and the sound team was stretched thin. They had first unit. So first unit is the main shoot. Second unit is like the same story, but they're shooting different things somewhere else. So I was the PA that was supposed to be on second unit. And I overheard I overheard the sound team kind of like struggling, and the AD, the person that's leading us on set, the assistant director, they're like, hey, we need to figure out who's going to be recording sound for second unit and stuff. And so I offered. I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm a sound mixer. I'd love to help if it's cool with them, if it's cool for everybody. And everyone's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, please do it. Yeah, let's do it. And so that's how I got pulled into the sound department on that job. Now, they know I'm a competent sound mixer, and they were comfortable letting me do that. And also this sets me higher. They're like, oh, cool. Like Omar's one of the good ones. He's willing to jump in when we need him. And they felt good having me there. They're like, okay, cool. We can relax about this thing and focus on first unit. That's very valuable. The other thing that happened on second unit is I'm there with the set dresser, the representative of the art department. The set dresser is somebody that dresses the set, the one that puts the plant in the background, the one that shapes the pillows the way they're supposed to so the light hits it properly, so the actor can sit properly, the one that decorates the the vehicle so it looks right, and the one that cleans things too, which is one of my skills. I'm really good at moving furniture and I'm really good at cleaning things. So if you're good at those things, you could be a set dresser as well and make a lot of money. So anyways, I became friends with a set dresser, and he was in a pinch. He needed to make a little piece of cardboard stick to a cooler for this scene. And I was like, oh, hey, here's some butyl, the sticky stuff. He's like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, you're a set dresser? Because only a set dresser would have butyl in his utility pocket. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm a set dresser. I'm art directing a commercial next week, actually. He's like, oh my gosh, okay, good. We need your contact info. And then, we get the thing, and we get the shot, and everything's perfect, amazing, like day saved. This is how you move up. And so, I got hired on a PA on that job, making $300 a day. But on the next job, they might hire me as a set dresser, and then I'll make $450 or $500 a day. That's what happens. That's the relationships and the connections and your reputation pay dividends over the course of your career. And that's something to keep in mind if you're moving from a 9-to-5 world into a freelance world, is at first it's okay to work the lower budget stuff because you're making the connections, and realize that one person could give you, enough jobs over the course of your career that's going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you have 150 people like that, that's a healthy career. That's a lot of money over time. A lot of newbies, they get caught up in like, oh, I just want to work on camera and I just want to make like $1,000 a day right away. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen right away. And it won't happen if you have that attitude. But if you have the attitude of, oh, I want to go PA and I want to make friends with the camera department, and I want to be down to, I'll grab them waters. I'll go take their breakfast orders, whatever they need, I'll help them. And then they're like, oh, cool. So-and-so, he's been like, he does some camera on the side and he's been really good to us. Let's bring him on this next job. We'll have him as the second AC, the second assistant camera. This is how we move up. This is an important strategy, and you can do it too. It's just one of the few things that we go over in the Friends in Film program, how to finesse this and how to make it happen fluidly. I'm at a point where it's really easy for me to work as a PA on a job and get pulled into 2 departments at once. I do it all the time. And it's creating so much work for me. They don't teach this in film school. You can't learn this on YouTube. Well, I guess maybe you are if you're watching this video on YouTube. But even so, there are so many nuances that we go over within the paid Friends in Film program that allow you to tap into this finesse, that even me communicating this to you over this podcast, or if you're watching it as a reel, that it's so important to learn and to really like hold on to and ingrain in yourself. And we do that in the program. So I hope this gives you some clarity and maybe like ignites a fire in you to go chase a career in film. Realize that it's possible. Realize that you can leave the 9-to-5. So we at Friends in Film, we have a strategy to help you safely transition from what you're doing now into working in film. And we show you how to be a freelancer. We show you how to develop these skills and exactly what to do, what to say, how to word things, who to talk to. It's very valuable. And it's worth it if you want to change your life. Imagine 10 months from now, you could be working like out at a ranch with horses. You could be working on a commercial with exotic cars and traveling into the desert recording a nature documentary. This could be your life too. You can make it happen, and it's really beautiful. It's not for everybody. If you're comfortable doing 9-to-5, if you're comfortable having somebody make your schedule for you, if you don't want to do this hard work, then that's okay. Like, you can stay there. That's fine. it does take a special kind of person to be a freelancer, to be an entrepreneur this way, and to go after what you really want. So if you're ready to do that, then sign up for Friends in Film. We'll help you. We have a strategy to make it happen. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you want to take your career to the next level in the film industry, go to friendsinfilm.com/join. That's friendsinfilm.com/join. You can sign up for our mini course, learn about the A-list model, and then you can take it all the way and do the A-list program. So that's friendsinfilm.com/join. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day, everybody.